excited.
We're all excited, and I'm fired up. And you want to know why? Because today is Hump Day Hangouts, episode 154.
Wow, can that one, guys.
Hey, welcome, everybody. We got almost a full crowd here. I think Hernan's out and about, so he may or may not be joining us. But before we get into things, let's go around and say hi to everybody today on the 18th of October. And I'll start off. I'm Adam if you haven't been here before, but I'll start on my left and go down the line. So, Chris, how's it going, man?
Doing good. Good time, good weather here in Tampa.
Outstanding. Oh, that's right. You're still in the U.S. So Chris is normally over on the European continent, but he's in the U.S. for a little bit longer.
Yeah, just for Halloween, and then I'm off again.
Awesome. Awesome. Marco, how's the weather treating you?
It's been beautiful, man. But it rained for about a week. But, you know, I'm willing to live with that because we haven't had a drop of rain in 3 days.
Gotcha. A little rain in paradise, right? So
there you go. You have to take the good with the bad.
Yep.
Awesome. Bradley, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm happy to be here. So I got I'm going to try a new, it's not new, it's Minicam, but I'm going to try to use Minicam today for broadcasting the Hangout. Cool. So that while I've got the screen share up, I will also show my little image, like picture in picture at the bottom. And we'll see how that goes. I don't know how well it's going to work, but we're going to attempt it. Oh, and before we get into any other announcements, you know what today is, right?
What is
episode 154? You know what that means, right?
Beers on Hump Day Hangouts?
No, that's in 2 more weeks. We're 3 years away, or excuse me, 2 episodes away from our 3rd year anniversary, 156 episodes. So I don't know what we've got planned for that yet, but I know we're going to do something special like we have the last 2 anniversary episodes. So you guys make sure that you're attending that one because we usually give away some pretty good stuff. And this being our 3rd, it's probably going to be a pretty good giveaway. So,
best question, I'll tell you right now, is going to get at least an RYS reloaded stack so that they can see how fucking awesome these things are working, how great these are, and then just spread the word, man. When it starts ranking like crazy, you go and spread the word. How good the shit actually is. It's incredible.
That's a several $100 value. So.
Oh yeah. One of those is going to it has to be the best question.
Awesome. And word on the street is that we got some Semantic Mastery new t-shirts coming out, some kind of high quality shirts with the new logo coming. So maybe that might work in there somehow. We'll see.
Word on the street, huh?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. Just, overheard some stuff. So, all right.
So what else we got?
We got a few announcements. If you're watching this and this is the first time or you're new to Semantic Mastery, first of all, thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't ever yet, put your question on the event page. It can be about anything, SEO, marketing, anything related to that. If you haven't yet, check out our SEO blueprint, the Battleplan. I'll pop the link on there in a second for you. We got a coupon code that'll save you $75. Please grab it. It's well worth the money. It's worth $100, but you can get it for $25. If you haven't been to Serpspace yet, head over there. You can create a free account. Check out the free tools they've got. We're working on some more. And then that's where all the done-for-you services are at. So if you're looking at saving some money and saving time instead of trying to figure this all out on yourself or on your own, go to Serpspace. You're going to hear us talk about it a lot. You'll have other people refer you there. Trust us. Check it out at least. All right. And then if you are new again, go to support.semanticmastery.com. We got a lot of common questions there and FAQs. It's a great place just to bookmark, and we've got graphs, things like that, where we've explained stuff more in depth. And I'll pop all those links up there. So again, if you're new, those are just some helpful areas for you to start. And then also, as more word on the street, Monday, I believe we have a webinar. Is that right, Bradley?
Yeah, we're having a webinar for a really awesome product. Something people have been asking us for over 2 years now to produce a on-page SEO training course. And the reason why we never have is because we cover it in so many other programs that we've had. Like, for example, Masterclass, we did several different site builds on there. So there was on-page optimization covered in each one of those site builds. And then we obviously are always covering stuff in the mastermind, which, we cover stuff, whatever people want to cover in the mastermind, we cover that. So we've covered on-page strategies multiple times, or on-page methods, excuse me. So we never actually produced a singular course about on-page SEO and silo structure and silo architecture and that kind of stuff. But people have been asking us for several years, and I actually have got I got involved with somebody. We got a joint venture agreement thing going on in another area, but he's just an absolute on-page SEO beast. And I was actually going through some of his training, and I the other day or about a week or two ago, and I was just like really blown away with how high quality it is. And there's no reason for us to go out and produce any sort of on-page SEO course when this one is absolutely gold. And so we're going to be having him on as a special guest on Monday, and he's going to be doing a lot of teaching about his methods and his strategies, his keyword research, his what it called keyword clustering, silo building, all this kind of really internal linking structures. I mean, the guy's just a ninja. So he's coming on to share that information with us on Monday. So guys, be prepared for that. I think Adam's going to drop the registration link on the event page, and emails go out tomorrow. But you definitely want to be there and be present for that because it's going to be a really good webinar.
Speaking of ninja, Rob just joined us, man.
Hey, what's up, Rob?
What's up, buddy?
The guy's a killer in the lab, dude. We're doing some nasty stuff to Google.
Can you say hi, Rob?
Hey, glad to be here, fellas.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
I'm on my phone again, so if you lose me, it's because I'm on an Apple device that you guys hate.
Yeah, it's Apple device. Well, there's your problem.
Yeah, I know. I got lots of problems, but that's one of them.
That is one of them. I got 99 problems, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anybody else? Just a quick roundup. Any more announcements? Anything that we didn't cover?
We got Mastermind webinar tomorrow. Going to be talking about some pretty cool stuff going on over there as well. I mean, we always do anyways, but just kind of really interesting stuff. So anybody that's in Mastermind, be prepared for tomorrow.
Awesome. All right, let's do this.
All right, so I'm going to attempt to switch this thing around a little bit and see if this works. You guys let me know what you're seeing. Also, did we double check to make sure we're broadcasting on the event page okay?
I'm looking right now. Also, while we're checking, if I shared it with the guys earlier, but in case any of you do your own broadcasting, it looks like Facebook is finally adding the capability to do the screen overlays, or sorry, to show your screen as well as to obviously show faces, which is a nice addition. But previously you had to use something like OBS to get that done.
Okay. All right, so this should be doing like a funky picture-in-picture thing on your end, guys. Does that look right?
Yes, I've got you, and then I've got us in the corner, and I've got your whole screen.
Okay. Well, you have an area. It may look like my whole screen, but I don't think you see like the.
No, I just see. Sorry, I see your browser. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Well, this looks like it may work. It's going to screw me up a little bit, but that's okay. All right. So, Elizer is up. Excuse me if I mispronounce that. What's up, guys? Can you recommend a one payment keyword research tool? Yeah. Power Suggest Pro. That's been our go-to tool forever. It's more of a keyword discovery tool or whatever. It's not really a keyword research tool in that. And the only reason I say that is because most all keyword research tools show like competition metrics and like all this other kind of shit that really, in my opinion, is unnecessary. I don't use any of those tools anymore. I think they're overcomplicated, and that kind of data really means nothing to me. So we've been using Power Suggest Pro, the same exact keyword method strategy or keyword research method that I've used since like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now, is what I've been, it's the same one I use today, which is always going to Google Trends first, starting with that, identifying all your related keyword searches, both your top related searches as well as rising related searches based upon the trends data, which you can even drill down into specific geographic areas if you'd like. And then from there, I take those and then I go do, right now, it's kind of a manual thing. We're actually going to be building a tool into Serpspace that will do that. We'll go scrape the related searches. So in other words, once you've grabbed your related search terms from your seed set or your seed terms, then what I do is go just do them, or I have a VA do it now, but she goes and manually searches each one of those keywords and then pulls the relevant related, searches related to at the bottom of the search results and adds those to the spreadsheet. Then from there, we drill down into each one of those with Power Suggest Pro. That's it. That's all I do. I know there's another question further up on this event page today about SEMrush. I got to be real honest with you. Hernan put SEMrush in the Battleplan because he uses it. I do not. I've never used SEMrush. Well, I've used it a couple times, but I've never used it consistently because it's just more data than I personally need to use for all the SEO stuff that I've done. I know there's some benefits to having some of those kind of metrics, guys, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that SEMrush will do. But I just find it to be overcomplicated for what I need to do. So I always just start with trends. Well, to be honest, I have one additional step now that I haven't done before, that I didn't really do before, and that was using Google AdWords, because SEO has become so complex, and it takes so much more effort now to rank for keywords than it did several years ago. So instead of like just determining or looking at keyword research tools and letting those metrics tell me, okay, these are the hot keywords, these are what I should be optimizing for, I've done that many, many times and spent weeks or months ranking for keywords that were told to me by SEO tools or keyword tools that they were good keywords. They were keywords that would produce traffic and all that kind of stuff. And I spend weeks or months getting those keywords ranked and find out that they're not converting, or they're not really the best keywords that I should have been targeting. And so that's weeks and or months of wasted time. And so what I like to do now is go to AdWords and set up a AdWords campaign for whatever project I'm working on, be it local or affiliate or whatever. It doesn't matter. I just go in and set up AdWords campaign, and I might put, depending on the niche, it might be a bit more expensive, but for like a lot of affiliate stuff, I might only throw like $50 in traffic at it. Like I'll spend $50, and at the end of that $50, I will have the search query report from AdWords that shows exactly which queries were being, were generating clicks to my ads. And so those are the ones that now I know to go optimize for, because there's traffic data that I have, proven, bona fide, genuine traffic data from Google's own data from advertising money that I spent that says these are the keywords that are going to produce the best results for you. Then I go actually optimize for those, build out an SEO campaign for those keywords. So I start with that. If it's local and sometimes some of the clicks are expensive for that, you might have to pay $30 a click. I might spend $200 on traffic. But to me, it saves me so much time from having to optimize for stuff that's not going to convert or produce traffic or produce clicks, or might produce clicks but doesn't convert because it's non-relevant traffic. And I need to know all of that stuff before going in and starting an SEO campaign, because the SEO campaign requires so much more effort. So I'd rather spend anywhere between $50 to $200 on traffic, let Google AdWords tell me which keywords I should be optimizing for SEO. Then I go just do the exact same process. And I usually always start, guys, with the same process. Even for AdWords, I still go to trends first. Then I look at Google related searches. I also look at the ads at that point. But strictly for keyword research, if you don't want to go with the AdWords route initially, which I recommend you guys do just to save yourselves a ton of time and heartache for optimizing for keywords that aren't going to produce results. However, if you're not going to do that, then Power Suggest Pro is, in my opinion, probably the most inexpensive and best tool that you can possibly use for SEO keywords. Because remember, the AdWords Keyword Planner tool is for AdWords. It's for PPC. So it's not going to, those traffic data, like the traffic search volume data and all that. First of all, we all know that's not really accurate. Number two, unless you're spending money on AdWords, it's going to give you this broad range of search volume instead of like more narrow metrics, right? More exact or precise metrics, which again, those metrics aren't precise anyways. But also those keywords are for keywords and search queries based upon AdWords. So it's not really SEO type terms. Whereas with Power Suggest Pro, it's using Google Suggest or autocomplete keywords. And those are actual keywords that people are manually typing and searching in this. In order for them to show up and suggest, it means there had to have been, I don't know what the threshold is, but there had to have been enough occurrences or instances of those search queries being searched for Google to add them into autocomplete, okay? And so those are really gold terms, and a lot of times you can pull back some really long tail keywords from tools like Power Suggest Pro. It's a very simple tool. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles of all the other tools. It doesn't need it. It does one thing, and it does it very, very well and very, very quickly. And it's like $57, I think, one-time fee. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's been my favorite keyword tool for about, I don't know, 3 years now. So I highly recommend that. Okay. That was a long-winded question or answer to that question, but I think that's important because we get those kind of questions all the time about keyword research tools, guys. And I swear to God, I've bought at least 15 keyword research tools over the years. I mean, no kidding. Some of them that are incredibly expensive. I mean, hundreds of dollars per month. You know what I mean? And I've just always gone back to the same process that I just described. So, and it works. Okay, Nathan's up. He says, hey guys, I wonder with RYS whether you ever point the links you build out within the RYS properties to a customer's own website, or would you only point the links to rank Google sites? Further, would you ever put both the customer's website and the Google Sites on the RYS properties together? Cheers for the excellent insights you give each week, Nathan. Yes, you can point at your money site. We encourage you to do so. Okay, because again, you're siphoning authority from Google domains over to your main property, which would be your money site, and that's going to not only produce additional authority, but it also helps to validate the entity. There's a lot of benefits in doing so. So it's not just about promoting a Google site. You know, if you don't have a money site and you're going to use a Google site as a money site, then obviously you wouldn't have that. But if you have a money site, include it. Okay. Further, would you ever put both customers' website and Google Sites on the RYS properties together? Sure, absolutely. There's no reason why you shouldn't. If you've got both, link to both. Okay. Marco, do you want to comment on that, or is that good enough?
That's good enough.
Okay. Mohammed's up. What's up, Mohammed? He's here asking questions every week. Certainly appreciate that, Mohammed. Hey, guys, for a while, I've been working on pay-per-lead AdWords campaigns with the contractor. I've gotten a lot of experience with this niche because of it, and built a solid relationship with the contractor. Based on what I see, I have an opportunity to earn more if I go with a revenue share model. The only problem is currently all calls go to the contractor. Oh, tisk, 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 Mohammed. I know when you're first getting started out, that's the easiest way to go because it requires less. It's not necessarily that it's easier, it's that it requires less capital on your part, right? Less investment because you don't have to pay for a call center. I do not recommend sending leads directly to contractors, though. Personally, I've when I first started my lead gen business, for about the first, I'd say the first year or so, I did that. I had all calls, just like I had my own call forwarding numbers, you know what I mean? My own virtual phone numbers. I've just always used Callfire. But I would have the calls go directly to the contractors. The problem with that is the contractors, a lot of times, most contractors, at least most of the companies that I deal with, the service providers that I've generated leads for, are smaller companies. So the contractors are actually working contractors. In other words, they own the business, but they're also out with their tools on or up a tree, you know, like literally climbing trees, cutting limbs and, you know, taking trees down and stuff like that. So they are usually busy throughout the day. And so when a call comes in, they often don't answer the phone because they're in the middle of work. And so if the phone doesn't get answered, guess what happens to that lead? It goes cold, or it goes to the next listing in Google or in AdWords or wherever they found the information for your contractor, for your lead gen site. They found more, right? And so if the call doesn't get answered, that lead is going to call the next person in line. And very rarely will a lead ever leave, will a caller ever leave a message, because typically, especially in the contracting industry, people are looking to solve a problem. So when they're in that mood or that mode of trying to solve that problem and, you know, request estimate, you know, set up estimates and that kind of stuff, they're looking to do it now. And so if they get voicemail, they usually will hang up, or they'll leave a message, but by the time the contractor gets back to them, they've already, you know, scheduled other contractors to come out. So my point is, after the first year of doing that, running my business that way, I don't remember who it was, but somebody told me about the call center stuff. And I was like, and you know what? It's probably Ivan Budimir from Maps Magic again, because he was like my biggest mentor when I first got into doing maps marketing. And so I hooked up with answerconnect.com, which is the call center that I've been using ever since. And I think that was back in, it would have been around 2012. And anyways, I've been using Answer Connect ever since. And the reason why is because that's 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, 365 days a year. Call center. So they answer the phone every single time any lead comes through any one of my lead gen properties. It goes to the call center. The call center screens the calls. It gets rid of any spam calls. By the way, that's the other reason why you don't want to send calls to a contractor, because as you rank in maps, guys, you'll start getting a shit ton of spam calls from, you know, advertisers, basically people looking to sell marketing services, which is kind of ironic that when you get on, like in the top 3 results, you get the most calls from marketers. When you're on page 2, you don't. It seems like that's a little backwards, but so anyways, contractors will oftentimes get hammered with sales calls. So having a call center will actually screen the calls to where the only calls or notifications that the contractor receives are going to be notifications from bona fide, genuine leads that have been screened. And because the caller got a live body on the phone, somebody answered the phone and took their information, it's not that they don't call other contractors, but they feel a lot, at least that lead is still generated, because otherwise, you know, like I said, if it goes to a voicemail, a lot of times they'll just hang up. So even if they don't get to talk to the contractor, they know that their lead or their contact information is being dispatched to the correct contractor, if that makes sense. So my point is, I'm telling you, I know, Mohammed, from when I first started, you're doing basically the same thing. You're sending calls directly to the contractor. I don't recommend that, though, because you have a lot more control over the lead when it goes through a call center, and you can verify the leads, and you can verify that the contractor got them, and then you'll have a record of it so that you can even follow up with the leads if you decide to pursue a revenue share model, which I know is what your question is. Can a revenue share be done without a call center? It can be, but you have to have it. It's not advised because the contractor could screw you and you wouldn't know it. I mean, I guess if you have a virtual phone number and you look at the call reports, you'll be able to see the calls that came in. And if you look at the duration, you could probably determine which calls were actually, which calls were actually resulted in a conversation with the contractor based upon the duration. But to me, that's a lot of additional work to have to go filter through all that stuff and then call those, customers to verify that jobs were either not accepted, proposals weren't accepted, or they were accepted. And to me, again, back in the days when I used to do that kind of stuff, it was a pain in the ass. So using a call center is the only way to go, in my opinion, with the revenue share model, because otherwise you got, and by the way, even using a call center, contractors can still screw you. So it is important that at least for the initial, first 6 months to a year, that at least quarterly, so once every 3 months, you do a verification campaign where you'll just pick out, like 10 calls that were genuine leads that were generated, and you can use somebody from like Upwork, telemarketer from Upwork, to do call surveys. And there's other services out there that will do it. And their call surveys as little as like $1.50 per call or $2 per call, where they'll call those customers and say, hey, this is whatever, let's just say Joe's Plumbing Service. Let's just say that was your lead gen site or whatever, or your service provider. This is Joe's Plumbing Service. And we're calling because we understand that you did not accept a proposal that we made, or from an estimate that we gave, a quote that we gave, and we were just wondering if there's anything that we did that could have been improved upon that would have changed your mind. Simple question like that, because then the customer is going to say either, okay, this is the reason why I didn't go with you guys, I went with somebody else, which would actually give you some good insight as to your contractor. But also if the lead, the customer that you're calling, actually did go with the contractor, they'll say, no, wait a minute, we did hire them. And then you found out, that's when you find out that the contractor was lying to you. And it's happened to me many, many times, guys. I've fired many, many contractors for lying to me or cheating me out of what was, rightfully mine. And it sucks. And to me, it's dumb, because for a contractor to do that is stupid. When you're sending them leads on a revenue share model where they're only paying for leads that are closing into actual jobs, for them to do something as dumb as try to cheat you out of your rightful small piece of that just for, to save a few bucks is dumb, because when they do get caught, they now have lost that lead source, because I'll never do work with them again, if that makes sense. So, my point is, again, I know another long-winded answer for that question, but I think it's really important to understand why call centers are so important if you're in the lead gen business, because it's going to prevent a lot of additional heartache down the road, and it gives you a lot of verification, a lot of ways to verify. If that makes sense. Okay. Great question, though, Mohammed. Number 2, I acted on the R&R video advice you gave me, and I used LiveRank Sniper to get a live stream ranked on page 2 for DUI lawyer Fort McMurray. Well, good for you, man. And divorce lawyer Fort McMurray. I also made a separate channel for the videos themselves, okay, with the YouTube syndication network. I think it's a good start, but now should I delete the stream from LRS and upload the video on my new channel, or just upload a video to LRS and give it some embeds from Serpspace? I would do your new channel.
Hey, Bradley, before you give an answer, can I just give him some advice? Never publicly reveal the city that you're targeting or your niche. This is public. This is everyone who comes to our channel and looks for this will now see your question and your niche and what you're targeting. And we can't account for what other people are going to do when they see that you're doing this. So please, guys, and this is for everyone else, not just Mohammed, be general, but don't ever get this specific, please.
Yeah, you could have said DUI lawyer and then like plus city, you know what I mean, and divorce lawyer plus city, and that way you would have not revealed your your locations.
Yeah, and so feel free to, you can actually delete this after the Hump Day Hangout. Mohammed is who I'm talking to.
Okay, and then Adam's going to go in and edit the replay to pull it out too. Is that what you're saying, Adam?
Look, I didn't think that far ahead, but...
All right. So anyways, I made separate channels for the videos themselves with the YouTube syndication network. I think it's a good start, but should I delete them, delete that stream from LRS and upload the video to my channel, or just upload the video to LRS and give it some embeds from Serpspace? Upload it through your own channel, Mohammed, not the LRS channel. Go through the channel that you set up and optimize for that project. The LRS stuff, guys, you can do that. But however, if you're using Live Rank Sniper, which I ran it yesterday. I use that tool a lot, actually. It's really a great tool for that, for poking keywords. Those accounts should be like orphaned accounts. They shouldn't be connected really to anything else. They're usually just for testing purposes, for poking keywords. So after I've I've run a campaign, and then I go back and do the search using Live Rank Sniper to go back and determine, it searches page 1 and 2, and then we'll send you a text file with the keywords plus the ranking URLs for anything that showed up on page 1 or 2. After I've grabbed that text file, then I just go back into the channel and delete all those scheduled live streams, because there's really no reason to leave them. I mean, you can leave them there. Don't get me wrong. If they're ranking on page 1 and you want to keep them as just a placeholder and it pushes somebody else off of page 1, then by all means leave it. It's not going to hurt. Okay, I don't know how long it'll stick, but you can leave it there anyways. But I typically will go in and just delete them, because I use the same test channels over and over again for multiple projects, different keywords and everything. That's why I don't like having like a network or anything attached to those test channels, because they're not themed. They're like literally all over the place as far as the types of keywords and the poking, the testing that I do with them. So if you've got a syndication network set up and a branded channel for all that kind of stuff, it's been optimized for those types of keywords in that city, whatever, then use that, because you're going to get better results, right? And they'll stick longer too. The problem with trying to live stream to a scheduled live event from an orphaned account is that although the live stream may rank initially, typically it falls off or out or down in the index fairly quickly, because it's not an account that has any authority or any validation. It's not an entity, so to speak. It's just an orphaned account. So I don't recommend it. It will initially rank well, but it usually won't stick. Right? All right. Question number 3, what kind of tasks do you get your VAs to do? I currently have mine creating content, and I'm training them to make syndication networks, but I know I'm not getting the most out of them. Honestly, Mohammed, really what I do is our VAs are really compartmentalized. What I mean by that is that we teach our VAs, for the most part, a specific task, and they do that repeatedly, and that's their job. That's it. And the reason why is because they become incredibly efficient at that. Instead of having them do, now if you have like an administrative assistant, that's different, right? Because administrative assistant is going to do multiple types of tasks, like almost like a personal assistant, right? That's what I would call an administrative assistant, can handle all different types of tasks. But for most of the VA stuff that we do, it's almost like a franchise model, like an assembly line, because we teach our VAs to do like one specific task or one specific project type or whatever it may be, and that's what they do over and over and over again, because they become incredibly efficient at it. Okay, so if you're not at a point where you've got enough volume of work to keep them busy with those specific tasks, then you may want to train them on some other related type of tasks and try to get them more work. Or here's a better idea: just go out and create more volume of work for them. Go out and sell more networks, create more properties, do whatever you got to do. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving. James says, "Our IFTTT network's still working. I've heard that other done-for-you IFTTT network builders are discontinuing the service because it no longer works." Well, that's great to hear, James. So I hope everybody does feel that way. All the other network builders out there, the copycatters, I hope they do think that they're not working, and they all get out of the business. They just leave the industry. I encourage them to do so.
I heard that somebody was giving a behind-the-scenes tell-all, for a certain amount of money, and made a reference to us. But yeah.
So yeah, IFTTT network builders are discontinuing the service. That's great. I hope they all just leave the industry. But yes, they absolutely still work, James.
Can I say why?
Sure,
James, if you don't mind.
Because
most of the other people, either they build them incorrectly or they use automation both cases, the reason why it doesn't work is not because syndication, the way Semantic Mastery teaches it, doesn't work. It's the syndication that's done the way these other people do it doesn't work. IFTTT, excuse me, network building and content syndication is still working like gangbusters. I can't get into how we're using it with RYS Reloaded, but trust me, it works. And it's going to continue working until Google decides to change the algorithm. And I don't know how they'll manage to do that, right?
Yeah. And they'll have to change it considerably because the branded networks, guys, is just a way to validate the entity. It's like you're claiming your brand, your footprint, and then you're syndicating your own content to it, which has been encouraged. And that's been like best practice for years. So, you know, again, unless they change their algorithm significantly, yes, they still work. The reason why other networks aren't working is because they either built them incorrectly, they built them with automation, like Marco said, they didn't interlink them properly, or they're syndicating bullshit content. Sorry to say, but that's really what it comes down to. If you're syndicating crap content, it's not going to help. Although, even if a syndication network is built correctly, I've seen boosts of like serious ranking jumps for lower competition type keywords for just connecting a syndication network without even syndicating any content. So we know that they absolutely work. Okay. But again, I hope they all get out of the building game.
Yeah, tell them that it doesn't work.
Yeah, tell them that you came to our webinar and we said, yes, they stopped working. So go ahead and get out of the business. Tell them we said that. All right, Ben's up. He says, hey, Bradley and guys, on episode 148, you talked about 27-minute here's what I see video you put together for a referral client who was very impressed. What info did you look at to show him? What tools did you use to get the info? Okay, Ben, I just do, you know, usually those type of videos, those like analysis videos aren't that long. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. It depends. It depends on how valuable the client or prospect may be to me. So, you know, sometimes I'll put more effort in than others. But in this case, for something like that, usually what I'll do is just, first I'll go into some keyword research because I start with that and I'll explain, like, especially, it depends on the prospect. If the prospect has been around for a while, they've had a digital presence, they're already probably going to know a lot of like what has been working, or they've done AdWords in the past or whatever. So this particular client had really very like non-existent digital presence. They had a website, but it was very poorly done. And it's because they had been relying on a couple of, they're an HVAC contractor and they had been a commercial HVAC contractor. And they've been relying on primarily the majority of their work coming from large contracts with like franchise type, you know, chain stores. And they had a couple of their biggest contracts like drop. And so now they're scrambling for leads. And that's what you know, what part of the 27-minute video was me explaining to them that they should have they got fat, dumb, and comfortable, you know, and fat, dumb, and happy living off those big contracts, but they had no backup plan in case those contracts didn't renew. And that's exactly what happened. And I said, you know, you should never rely on just one source of leads. You should start building your lead funnel regardless, because that way you always have a pipeline full of leads in case one source or two sources dry up, you've got multiple sources. So that said, I usually start with just keyword research stuff. I show like what keyword opportunities I think exist, so that they may not have been aware of, or that I can look at their site and tell that they're not targeting certain keyword opportunities. So I start with that. Then I usually show them their site, and I don't criticize anything that they're doing. You never do that, because sometimes people have an emotional connection to their website and or to their digital presence period. And if you start to criticize stuff, you can lose them. So what you do is you try to, what do you do? Call a compliment sandwich, which is like compliment, criticism, compliment, that type of stuff. And so, you know, I'll kind of like analyze their presence, their website, any social media they have, you know, the landing pages, you know, all that different kind of stuff. I'll look at it and I'll just do a brief analysis and say, you know what, this is really cool. I like what you did here. However, I think you could get better results if you did this. And then I just go through piece by piece. And I just explain each thing that I found, and I always try to do like that same method where I don't ever like talk down as far as like what they've got. I just try to explain how it could be improved, and that's all it is. As far as the tools, I just use, again, the exact same process I always talk about for keyword research. I show them Google Trends to show them Google data. And what's nice about Trends is it gives you graphics, right? Like graphs and charts and things like that. So you can actually show, you know, related searches and, you know, the correlation between the keywords and that kind of stuff. You can show all that, and it comes out really nice. So I use Google Trends, and then I use for local stuff, which is where, you know, obviously when I'm sending out a analysis video to a client, it's, for at least for me, about 99% of them are going to be local based. I use Bright Local for reporting, for showing like citation reports, for showing what they call the Google Local Wizard or whatever it is in there, which will show you like the report, and there's also local ranking report. So after I do the keyword research, I'll go input all the keywords into Bright Local. I'll generate a report, even though they're not a client. I still add them as a client in Bright Local. I'll generate a keyword report, a citation report. All of those, they have a full SEO analysis report inside of Bright Local. That's a really good report. And so I'll generate those three. It's very simple. I just enter their details in. I hit the generate button. It takes about 10 minutes. Then I get all three reports back, and I put all of those into an email along with the video where I just go through each one of the reports and point out that and explain what the reports are saying. And that's it. So it basically comes out to keyword research, showing opportunities that I think exist that they're not capitalizing on, analyzing their digital assets, showing where I see some improvement could be made, and then walking through the three reports that Bright Local generates. And Bright Local is an incredibly affordable service, guys. If you're doing any sort of local, I highly recommend it. Okay. Again, another good question. You guys got great questions today. All right, Chris is up. He says, quick question. Is it possible to create a tier? This is going to be kind of a geeky, there's too many T's and ones and twos in this, so I'm not going to read the question. You guys can all read it. Yes, Chris, you can do that. I read this question earlier. You absolutely can create third tier networks that link to that boost your tier 2 networks. And so like if you were to draw a graphic of it, the way I don't like to go beyond tier 2, only because it's not that it doesn't work. It's just, it's a lot of work setting it up. And then there's a lot of things that can break down, because now you've got several, you know, triggers and actions chained together. So they're like daisy chained together. And if something breaks down, it's a lot harder. Now, if you're using something like Serpspace network monitoring, you should be notified if something's not posted quickly. So you can go back through and identify it very quickly, especially if you've added your networks correctly inside of Serpspace. But prior to having Serpspace, it was kind of a pain in the ass to troubleshoot, to find out where there may be a breakdown in the process chain, so to speak, because you know, again, it can become very complex. But if you look at a graphic, typically we draw the graphic with the branded ring, tier 1, all right, and then we've got 3 tier 2 rings, and that's because we use the 3 primary blog accounts, Blogger, Tumblr, and WordPress, as the tier 2 trigger accounts, right? So, God, if anybody else gets Yelp calls as much as I do, I mean, we should get together and go blow up Yelp or something. I'm getting another damn spam call from Yelp. They call at least 5 times a week. I'm not kidding. It's just unbelievable. Anyways, so 1 tier 1, 3 tier 2s, and then you could actually have for tier 3, you could have 3 tier 3 rings per tier 2 ring. So you would end up with what? 3, 6, 9 tier 3 rings, 3 tier 2 rings, so that's 12, and then the branded tier 1 rings, so that would be 13 rings if you have a full entire built out structure like what you're just describing here, Chris. And it works. It does work. It's just a pain in the ass to set up. It's a lot of work to set up. And again, if anything breaks down, you got to go troubleshoot, and there's a lot of steps in that chain. So to me, it's more work than it's worth. Although I know we've got somebody that took our methods and basically did what you're talking about here, Chris, and she just went crazy with it. And she builds these great big super massive networks with like hundreds of rings. No kidding. And she just ranks shit whenever she wants, like at will. So it does work. It's just a lot of work, and it's, you know, something that you got to monitor to make sure that it is all firing correctly. Okay. Also, is that a recommended strategy in the first place? No, I mean, again, you can. It's just, it's up to you how much effort you want to put in, and how much headache you're willing to deal with in case stuff does break down. Personally, I don't. I've got too many of these network, you know, too many campaigns that I monitor and manage for me to worry about building them out like that. I just like to do tier 1 and tier 2 for YouTube, I do tier 2 rings, tier 2 networks, structures, and I just stack multiple tier 2 structures together. For money sites, I typically just do one branded tier 1 ring and then just boost the hell out of it. Okay. So, all right, there you go. Jenny is up. He says, what's up, buddy? It's been a while since you've commented on Hump Day Hangouts. Hey, Semantic crew, wondering if you can shed some light on the ads inside the 3-pack and how I can get one in there. I own Local Kingpin. Very grateful for this course, but I don't see the info in there. Thanks. Yeah, because, Jenny, at the time it was in the areas that I've worked in, the ads weren't appearing in the maps pack yet. They were starting to appear in the expanded maps. So like when you click on the more results and it opens up, instead of from Google search, it actually opens up in the maps. It would show an ad at the very top, sometimes 2 ads. And that it's the same process either way. You have to have a location extension, number 1. So you have to be using a local extension in your ads, and ad extensions for location. If that makes sense. Number 1. Number 2, you have to be the top bidder or the highest quality score. You got to be the top ranked ad. If you do that, then you should be able to get into the maps pack for those keywords that are displaying ads in the 3-pack. Okay, that's just started to roll out in my local area, not for all keywords, but for some of the niches that I'm into, for some contractor niches, now ads are starting to appear in the 3-pack. Since Local Kingpin was launched, which I think was in August last year, 2016, the expanded maps, I've had a lot of ads show up there, and my ad typically shows up because I usually end up being the top ranked ad for about 80% of the AdWords campaigns I set up. I usually end up being the top ranked ad. And so my ad will show up in the expanded maps pack. But now, like I said, just recently, within about the last 6 weeks or so, some of the projects or campaigns that I've worked on, I'm starting to see ads appear in the maps pack, the 3-pack too. So again, it's just a matter of, you have to have the location extension, and then you have to be the top bid, not the top bidder, but the top ranked ad, because sometimes you can be the top ranked ad without being the top bidder because your quality score is higher. So that's what you should be striving for, is improving your quality score to the best that you can get it, because that lowers your cost per click and increases your rank positioning, your ad positioning, ad rank, whatever. And that will get you into the maps pack. Okay. All right. Shane is up. Let's see. And Shane's doing this too. He's showing an actual listing here. So Marco's advice earlier to Mohammed should apply to you as well, Shane. Hey, I have an issue where I can't get a client listed in Google Maps. I have the website ranking on second page for the primary keyword. Also, the GMB is verified. Site already has citations. Site over 1 year old. Maps listing 2 to 3 months. The next step was to get it ranking in Google Maps. It was set up as a service area, not a location, as it only does call outs. And there was another business in the location as it's his residential address he submitted. Here's the actual Google location on Google Maps. Okay, I'm not going to click through, but I've ordered Maps Powerhouse with 30 primary embeds and correct categories and 1,000 secondary embeds, but the listing isn't even appearing in the Maps listing. It seems every other carpet cleaning business is listed in Google Maps except this client's. Any suggestions on what I should do next? It sounds like you're being filtered out from the pigeon filter, Shane. That's a more common occurrence now. I've had that happen to. I've got a couple sites actually that are Maps listings that have been filtered from pigeon as well. I've been testing some different methods to get that filter lifted. They did a little bit of a rollback on it recently, and because one of our sites that we've been struggling with that on is actually a client site, it's not a lead gen site, and his sites came back for about 50% of the keywords, where it had been filtered for 100% of the keywords for several months. Now it's back for about half of the keywords. So I know that the pigeon filter has been lifted somewhat, but I've been testing some other methods. I'm not ready to reveal them yet because I don't have consistent enough results, Shane. And when I do reveal it, it'll be inside the mastermind, and I understand you're not in there anymore. So, but what I would suggest is maybe testing, if you've got it as a service area business. I know if it's his residential address that is listed as like the physical location and he doesn't want that to show, that could be an issue. But I was going to say, we were just instructed, actually yesterday I was talking to one of our mastermind members about another similar case, and they changed the listing to show the address, from hidden address to show the address, and everything came back just like that had been filtered out within like a matter of days, he said. So that might be something you want to try. And then what I would suggest is, if you just go back and set it to where it does show his address and his listing does come back, give it a few days. But if his listing does come back and starts to appear in the maps again, it means that it was being filtered by Pigeon because of the address being hidden, which again, I don't know why that would be if it's a true service area business. But what I'm saying is if you do that, then what I would suggest is if the client doesn't want that his address being shown, then I would do a citation cleanup job, and I would change the address and literally go get a PO box or something, like, and what we've talked about many times, and change the address for the business so that you can still show the address, but it won't be showing his home address. And it's going to suck because you're going to have to go and update all the existing citations, but there are some services online that will do that for you. Cost money, but they do it, and they do it very, very well. Okay. So that's what I would suggest doing. If that's not an option, or if that does not help, showing the actual address doesn't change anything, then, I don't know what else to tell you other than, again, you're saying that there was another business at that same location that could be causing a problem, because that's part of the Pigeon filter. If Google determines that there are two businesses closely adjacent to each other, Google is going to determine which one is more relevant, and Google makes that determination. I don't know what that criteria is, but that's where my problem has occurred with several of my listings that have been filtered by Pigeon, is that it was in close proximity to another company that provided the same service, products and or services. And for whatever reason, Google determined that other business was more relevant than mine. And so it only shows that because it's too close in location. So if you've got two businesses listed at the same location, it could, unless they're, I don't know why it would happen unless they're both carpet related businesses, but for some reason Google is saying that that other business is the only one that it's going to display, and I'm not sure why that is or what the criteria is.
Rob and I actually took a look at this a couple of weeks ago for someone who was having issues with the map.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue was the entity. I typed in the address, and what Google showed for the entity was something that was sharing the address. It was another company related, sharing the address, and that was showing as the entity rather than the one that we were looking for to be the entity. And so this could, the only way that you can determine this is by listing the address and then doing a map search for on the address. Not a map search, doing an address search to see what comes up in the entity panel, in the knowledge panel. And then that's the only way to know which one Google is taking, considering the entity. And then you need to get that changed. You need to either pop a 3-pack in there, and then change it back to the knowledge panel. I mean, there's a few ways that we do it through RYS Reloaded. I think it's one of the, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's one of the webinars that we'll have sometime in the future on how we can't always do it. And that's a big issue. You know, I don't like going into anything unless I can replicate and do it over and over and over again. But I can tell right now, just from reading this, his problem is probably entity.
Yeah. Yeah, and so changing the address can help to solve that. Because again, if it's like what Margot says is absolutely true. If you go do a search on just the physical address instead of using the company name or the phone number or anything, then Google's going to show you what it sees at that location. And so, like, if you change the address, then that could actually help. But again, I would first start with showing the address instead of having selecting for it to be hidden, and see if that helps. Give it a few days though. Don't just change it and then tomorrow go look and say, oh, it didn't work, and then start doing all this other stuff. Give it a few days and see if it changes, and then you can go in and update then if that does help. If it doesn't help, then like Marco said, it's kind of difficult because I haven't found anything that consistently solves that problem yet either. I've tried several different things with mixed results. So that's why I'm not willing to share it yet either, because I don't want to like send people down a rabbit hole, go chasing stuff that may or may not work. Okay. Okay, Ivan's up again. He says, or this is a different Ivan, excuse me. Ivan says, I'm starting a new business. This morning, I took some time to read the battle plan again. I downloaded the keyword research template provided after the SEMrush part. Can you give us a brief overview of how to use SEMrush to fill this template? I'm sorry, Ivan, I cannot. As I mentioned earlier in this webinar, I do not use SEMrush. I know there's some powerful features there, but to me, it's more data than I need. So I just don't use it. That's Hernan's method, and he's not here to explain. So I apologize for that, Ivan. If you want to repost your question next week when Hernan is here, hopefully he can provide some insight, or post your question in the group, whatever group you're in, and maybe he can jump in and answer it for you there. Okay, Armand says, is there a best practice for what links you point at a Google stack? Do you generally use PBNs, or do you go crazy with GSA, or could something like GSA be bad for my money site? Well, if you're not pointing directly at your money site, you should be okay. You know, we don't typically recommend throwing any sort of like kitchen sink spam on to tier 1 links, even Google links. I know Marco and Rob have tested like literally over 1 million like of the worst, most horrid, awful, atrocious links you could possibly imagine at Google Stacks, and it actually ranked them.
And fiber gigs.
Yeah, and fiber gigs and everything else. You know, we don't want to tell you to do that, so use at your own risk. I prefer to still use like our same link building methods that we do for syndication networks, which is the tier 1 links going to the drive stack are contextual links on higher metric properties, and then we throw kitchen sink spam behind that. Also, press releases are working really well to point at drive stacks or drive files, drive folders, whatever. So I do a lot of press release stuff right now with drive stacks, and then I'll throw GSA spam behind the press releases, the ones especially that have the do follow links, which you just got to identify those. PBNs do still work for that kind of stuff, guys. You know, I wouldn't point them at my money site, but a drive stack, sure, why not? Okay. So you can go crazy. I'm just not encouraging you to do it, because we don't recommend doing that, because even though it still works now, we don't know if in tomorrow or in 6 weeks or in 6 months that all of a sudden that could tank your stack and or your site. So I don't recommend doing that. I would still be somewhat gentle for tier 1 to the drive stack, and then you can throw spam behind that. All right. Roger, is there an RYS Reloaded webinar on Monday?
It's listed in the events in the Facebook group, so go there.
From now on, Marco is going to be listing the webinars in the events tab of the Facebook group. So Facebook will be sending out notifications to everybody. So yes, just pay attention to the Facebook notifications. That should solve the problem.
And that one was already sent out, by the way. It's already scheduled. And no, it's not this coming Monday. It's the following Monday.
Gotcha. And if we have a somebody coming on, you know, when we do these webinars, we know that a lot of people can't make it, so you know, we'll definitely have the replay available.
Okay. We only got a couple minutes left. Let me run through the last few. Sajad, forgive me for being a dumb American. Can't pronounce some names. Recently found out about Serpshaker. Should I still go for it and build pages for lead gens? That's up to you. You know, it's more cost effective than some of the other mass page generators. That's for sure. That it requires more manual work. You know, we've used for those types of things. Lead Gadget is something that I was associated with for quite some time. That's a really good, powerful. It's a lot more expensive though. Tool. Yeah, it's still valid. Personally, I don't like those methods for lead gen stuff so much anymore, because a lot of times those sites get slapped and de-indexed. Or they just fall, you know, that either, or they catch penalties or whatever. And so it's just, to me, it's a churn and burn, and I don't like churn and burn strategies, guys. I don't like doing rework. I hate doing anything that I put a lot of time and effort into just to have it disappear. So I got away from doing that. Although it does work, I got away from doing it because it was a lot of rework. You'd get sites slapped, or they would get de-indexed, and then you have to go rebuild them again. And although it's not a difficult process to do, especially once you have a process in place, it's still a lot of repeat stuff, and that kind of stuff just annoys me. So I kind of got away from doing it. And don't get me wrong, they're good, they work, okay? But you just have to understand what you're getting into, okay? We only got a couple left. So Jay says, hi guys, high five. High five back at you, Jay. Have you got any suggestions, tweaks, or warnings regarding using IFTTT Ring for a site whose content is a podcast? Can you take the podcast or iTunes RSS feed and use it as an RSS source for the tier 1 ring? I don't see why not. I've not done it. I don't know what the syndication would look like. I know I've tested some stuff in the past. This was a couple years ago now, but with SoundCloud and using SoundCloud as a trigger. And because the SoundCloud like embed code is very much like a YouTube embed code. You know what I mean? So it's just like it shouldn't be a problem. It's just an iframe, but you have to play with it, Jay. It should, as far as will it work? Yeah. I mean, I don't know how they look when they get syndicated, but
for example, we've got ours. Like, it's not our only. So that's what I can say is that I don't have any experience using solely a podcast. But Semantic Mastery, we integrate our podcast into our blog, which then gets syndicated out.
Yeah, so. And that's what I was going to say. I don't see any. It's not going to cause you any problems. I just don't know how it looks once it's syndicated because I haven't gone and investigated that. But yeah, you can absolutely do that.
Yeah, it'd definitely be some power to adding like a call to action or some extra content onto it instead of just like the SoundCloud play button. But anyway, sorry, Marco, what were you saying?
No, that's 3 sources of content that he actually has on there, right? Because if he records it, then he has sound, he has video, and then he gets the video transcribed. And now he has a blog post, he has a video embed, and he has the audio to push through. So Jay, I mean, go to town.
Yeah,
I don't see why there's any problem with that.
Mohammed says, thanks for the advice, guys. Not much I can do now, but I did edit the question. At the very least, lesson learned. No problem, buddy. You know what? Lesson learned is right. So back to another question from this gentleman. That's all I'm going to say. New to your training, do you have any training on client acquisition? My SEO agency site is currently ranking for a few countries and also for a few states, but I need more clients. Called for a few from Yellow Pages, says not interested and ends the call. Yeah, that's the problem. And the reason why is because so many well, I say contractors because that's what I deal with, but clients, small businesses, they get hammered with sales calls, guys, all day long. That's why interruption marketing really doesn't work that well for prospecting. It just doesn't, because you get the read the riot act from prospects that when you interrupt them. And I don't blame you, because I get so many damn spam calls a day that I don't even answer my phone anymore. In fact, my voicemail greeting says, due to the overwhelming volume of spam calls that I receive, I no longer answer my phone. If this is important, leave your name and number, and I will call you back. If it's a solicitation, well, I don't say this, but I want to say, go F yourself. You know what I mean? But so anyways, I don't answer my phone anymore specifically for that reason. So I totally understand where businesses are coming from when they, even though like from you, you're genuinely trying to help and provide them services, but they don't see it that way. So that's why I try to do a more nurturing, like lead development type of strategy where I contact them like cold contacting email. I get them into a funnel and do remarketing, direct mail, all these different things that I can do to constantly remind them that I'm there, so that when they're ready, they'll schedule the call with me on their own time. And that changes the whole psychology or the dynamic of that that phone call, if that makes sense. So yeah,
and I think also, Bradley, something else you've done is the video mail. I think that might be something he could do. You don't have to show yourself if you're depending on if you're comfortable speaking and doing a screen share, walk through people. You don't have to show your face, but talk to them and then send them that, and then they have time to look at it. Send them 2 or 3 emails and then get them to call you.
And so there you go. And that was going to be my next comment, was to tell you that we have in our bonus site, we have the video email course that basically walks you through the process of how to set up and use video email, or Vmail is what I used to call it, to prospect for clients. It's very, very effective. It's a bit time consuming, but it's very effective. So if you don't have access to the bonus site, you're supposed to have purchased one of our products. If you haven't purchased any of our products yet, start with YouTube Silo Academy. It's $7, but contact us at support@semanticmastery.com.
I was going to say, his next question was about the battle plan. So I would say, what's it all about? It's about having a list that you can go down and a process, a plan that you can follow for your SEO. So grab that, get the training, and that's probably the best thing for him.
Yeah. Contact us at support@semanticmastery.com, and we'll get you set up with the bonus site. If you pick up the battle plan or whatever, just contact us there, and we'll get you set up with the bonus site. And in there's a ton of additional training too, guys. So, all right. Okay, cool. Well, let's see if I can undo this crazy thing. I know, isn't that weird? Try this. Okay, it's back. Are we back?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We're a little bit over on time, but we got Mastermind tomorrow. Any final parting words, guys?
Good to go.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, Rob, thanks for showing up and participating so much.
Yeah, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in.
Awesome. Good to have you here, man.
All right, guys.
Hey, happy beer. See you guys.